All right. Yeah. Welcome to the show. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. We are here every week talking professional wrestling with you, the best in the WWE and beyond here on the program. We're going to start talking about AEW, and AEW TV kicks in a couple of weeks' time on October the 2nd. But for now, mostly a WWE themed show, at least for the time being, as the WWE continues to rule over the wrestling world. They have a huge event coming up on Sunday. It'll be WWE Clash of Champions in Charlotte, North Carolina, headlined by... I don't really know. What's the main event here? There's a lot of matches on this card, and I wonder what will close the show. We have a Universal title match between Seth Rollins, the champion, and the challenger Braun Strowman. Those two guys, also the tag team champions on Raw. They'll be defending their titles, as every championship on the main roster WWE will be defended. It'll be Seth and Braun defending against Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. But will the Seth and Braun match main event? Will it be the WWE title match between Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton? Or will it be maybe the returning Sasha Banks against Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title? Or perhaps Bayley defending against Charlotte Flair in Charlotte, North Carolina, for the Smackdown Women's Championship? I think Bayley Charlotte would be my main event. That's the match I would put on last. Looking at this card up and down, Kofi and Randy's one thing, Seth and Braun is another, but I'd go with Charlotte and Bayley last. Probably not, though, if you're the WWE, because I think they probably would want to have Seth and Braun wrestle early in the night and then maybe close the show as well. But I don't know if Seth and Braun is really the match that you want to end Clash of Champions with. I don't know if the match itself or the finish will deliver the kind of ending to a pay-per-view that you might like. Whereas I think there's more riding on the Bayley-Charlotte Flair match. There's more interest. There's more intrigue. Will Sasha Banks win her match? Will she interfere on behalf of Bayley? Will Charlotte win in her hometown? How is this all going to play out? And I think for those reasons, Bayley and Charlotte should be the last match on the card. But we'll have to wait and see what they do on the show.
I understand your point and everything, but I just feel the Universal title has main evented the last two pay-per-views. Why change now?
Because no one really cares about this Universal title match. I don't think there's a lot of heat between these two guys. I don't think the Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman tag team thing has really brought a lot of attention or interest into their match. And you also have Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, who everyone kind of expects to interfere in the match anyways. He's talking openly on Raw about how he's next in line for the title and he's going to challenge either Braun or Seth or maybe both if there's an inconclusive finish, right? Which The Fiend may cause himself. So I don't really feel that interested or that excited for a match where, you probably won't have a really clean finish. If we do have a winner, it'll probably be Seth, and Bray Wyatt should interfere, and Hell in a Cell's a couple weeks away after this anyways. So we're just going to see a repeat or maybe a triple threat or whatever. And really, it's whatever, because I don't think there's a lot of heat going into this feud. I don't think a lot of people care that much about what's going on with Braun and Seth. And even if you interject The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, I don't think you're helping it that much more. So they're trying their best, but I think that the stuff they have now with Bayley and Becky and Sasha and Charlotte is way better. It's more interesting for me.
It's a good storyline. I like where it's going, but they just put Seth Rollins over Brock Lesnar, who pretty much dominated WWE for the last couple of years. Now, I think going into the next show, he should be the main event because you just established him as the next guy.
Okay. I see that point. I get it. I disagree. It's Charlotte's hometown. I think the crowd will be way more into the Charlotte-Bayley match. I think that's the main event.
It's definitely going to be on later, for sure. It could even be the second to last match.
Okay, well, let's get to the last match then. If you think it's going to go on last, Seth and Braun, what do you expect to happen? If you think it should be the last match, you better sell me on something good happening at the end of it.
The Fiend coming out, it's not good? What's wrong with that? I think that's great.
I think it's very predictable.
Predictable's okay.
Is it?
Yeah, it's fine. Because they have to wrestle twice. The fact that they're even going to wrestle
So
twice,
we have a non-finish. We have a non-finish in a main event title match with The Fiend predictably showing up to interfere and stop the match. Really? That's how you're going to end Clash of Champions? That's how you're going to get me excited for Hell in a Cell?
I could see Seth winning this, actually. Distraction, but he still wins.
Okay. That's not much better. So what are we doing at Hell in a Cell?
We're doing Seth and we're doing The Fiend inside the cell. I think that's good. I think people want to see that.
I don't know. So they have 3 weeks of TV. 3 weeks, is it 3 weeks of TV? Yeah, they'll have 3 weeks of TV to build this thing.
Right.
So they'll have a little bit of time. I thought it was 2 weeks, but it's 3. But this will be their first pay-per-view after AEW has been on TV. This will be their first pay-per-view after SmackDown moves to Friday nights live on Fox.
Right.
This will be the first pay-per-view in somewhat of a new era. You got to deliver at Hell in a Cell. And Seth and Bray, I don't think that's really great. Like, there's not a lot on this card. This is every championship being defended. There's not much on this thing that's got me excited. I don't think the wrestling world is excited for Clash of Champions. There's no buzz around this card.
Well, I soundly disagree with that. Charlotte and Bayley, you put that over as one of the better matches and not even going to be the main event. And you haven't even talked about Becky.
It should be the main event because there's not much else on this thing that's worth anything.
You didn't even talk about Becky or Sasha yet. Sasha comes back out of nowhere. Bam, she's in the title picture. Probably going to win the championship.
Well, like I said, it's the best thing going today. Becky, Sasha, Charlotte, Bayley. Best thing going today in WWE.
I like Kofi and Randy. I like where this is going. I'm excited for this match.
Yeah. All right.
Hopefully Randy becomes champion this Sunday.
Well, let's stick with Becky and Bayley and Sasha and Charlotte. They had a tag team match. It was Charlotte and Becky versus Bayley and Sasha. Charlotte and Becky won. Charlotte hit Bayley with the natural selection to pin her opponent at Clash of Champions.
It was an okay match.
I think Bayley probably wins now, though, right? If Charlotte pinned her on Raw, you think she's going to pin her again on pay-per-view?
Yeah, but Bayley got the win back on SmackDown when she beat Ember Moon.
That's not getting the win back.
Well, she was still strong.
Yeah, she beat Ember Moon, but she didn't beat Charlotte.
Right.
Charlotte beat her on Raw in a great tag team match, by the way. I like that match. Was that... I don't think it was match of the night on Raw, but it was close.
It was not. It was okay. People are saying this is awesome. I mean, it was a good match, but...
I thought it was very good.
Rey Mysterio, I think, stole the show.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. I thought the match was really good, despite the fact that Charlotte totally missed on her big boot. It was mostly the camera angle's fault, but did you notice that? They had to cover and say, I don't think she got all of that. That'll be on Botchamania. Charlotte hits, I think, Bayley with a big boot. Didn't come close to touching her. Bayley goes down, and it was very obvious from the camera angle, so that was bad. Also, Charlotte totally botched her moonsault on the finish. Did you notice that?
Not the finish.
Not the finish, but near the end there.
Yeah.
She just kind of overshot the moonsault.
Well, she landed on her feet, and then she fell into the pin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took away from everything.
Yeah, it didn't look very good. And then also Bayley dropping an elbow on Charlotte's legs for some reason. Like, Bayley goes to the top rope to drop an elbow, and they're like, Charlotte got her knees up. She would have had to get her knees up to her chest to get her knees up on an elbow drop, like you're supposed to drop an elbow on the chest region, but if you see the trajectory of Bayley, she like dropped an elbow on Charlotte's legs. Like, yeah, of course Charlotte got her knees up. Bayley
landed on her
elbow
legs.
dropped her legs. It was bizarre, you know? So there were some moments in that match that were kind of shaky, but overall, I thought it was a good product. It was a good performance.
I think fatigue may have sat in a little bit and started to affect their performance a bit, and I can understand. I mean, I'm sure it's hot as heck in there.
Sure.
Madison Square Garden. Feel a bit more pressure, perhaps. It's kind of like the big main event of the show, in a sense.
It was. It was a big match.
So
we thought they might delay this match, you know, for a pay-per-view or something. But no, they just gave it to us right away on Raw. So, Becky versus Sasha. I think Sasha's going to take the title. I think when we're done here, Sasha and Bayley are going to be on top.
Yeah, I see that. Not the women's tag team championships, but they'll have the individual singles titles. Yeah, I think so.
I think they will be the champions. I think Sasha takes the Raw title from Becky, the title she's held since beating Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania to take all the belts.
Right.
Becky has held that title since Mania. I think she drops it here to Sasha Banks. I think Bayley retains over Charlotte Flair, though. I was pretty convinced that Charlotte was going to win, but then Bayley turned heel, and everything changed a couple weeks ago. And now I think that they're going to do something here with Sasha and Bayley. At least they should. And I would go with Bayley for the win. I think Bayley, maybe with some help from Sasha, because Charlotte and Becky, they were on the same team, but they weren't friends.
Right.
You know? Sasha and Bayley, they're friends. Becky and Charlotte don't like each other still. So Becky's not going to be helping Charlotte in this match. So I believe that will cost them. And Sasha and Bayley will help each other, and they will win, and they will be champions.
Right. I just wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte wins, though. Because she's one of those kind of people where it's like, more than likely she would lose, but no, she wins anyway. She's got the like John Cena, Roman Reigns kind of thing to her.
I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see it either, and I hope it doesn't happen, but I could see it happening.
So we've got Bayley and Charlotte should be a great match. Becky and Sasha should be very good as well. We talked a little bit about Seth and Braun. They have their Universal title match. They're also defending the Raw Tag Team titles against Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. I said it. You know, I think that they should keep the titles with Seth and Braun, but have Braun beat Seth for the Universal title. I think that would be really interesting if Seth Rollins had to deal with remaining tag team champions with the man, but losing the Universal title to him, and then going on as Raw Tag Team Champions with Braun Strowman for, you know, another pay-per-view. 3 more weeks. I think the story there would be real interesting. And then maybe you do Braun, Seth, and The Fiend in a triple threat at Hell in a Cell.
Well, I think the best way to go about it is to have them lose the tag team titles here. Then you have more heat towards your main event. People are more interested in your main event. And, yeah, you could do the triple threat, the next pay-per-view, whatever. That's fine. But I think they should definitely lose the first match.
I don't want to see that, though, John. I don't want to see, like, what are they going to do? The predictable thing where Seth Rollins loses, he takes the fall, they lose the tag team titles, and you think, oh, Seth Rollins is weak, he's lost already tonight, he's going to lose again to Braun Strowman, but no, he beats Braun Strowman, and then you move on and whatever. It's too predictable. It's too easy. Give me something that I'm not expecting. Entertain me. Don't give me the same story over and over again. You're saying predictable is good. I'm saying it's not. I'm saying predictable is not good. You want to go in different directions. You want to be creative. How about creativity every once in a while?
Well, I feel like we've been getting that on WWE television lately. But in this case, I think the norm is best.
Why?
Because I think if you stray away and do some kind of crazy stuff like what you're speculating doing, the story kind of gets lost a bit, and it just becomes very abstract of what you're trying to accomplish, as you have these champions that just win and lose the title every pay-per-view.
Well, I'm not saying Braun loses the Universal title. I'm saying give it to Braun for a bit.
Seth just won it the last pay-per-view. Now, he's got to lose it now.
Yeah, but he won it from Brock, and he lost it briefly to Brock. It's basically been Seth's run since Mania.
So 3 pay-per-views in a row, new Universal Champion, it's too much.
I disagree. I would give it to Braun. They probably won't. I think what you're saying is going to happen, and what I'm saying is going to happen is going to happen. They'll lose the tag team titles, Seth will take the fall, and then in the main event, you'll think, oh, Seth is weak, but he won't be. He'll win. And then The Fiend will show up after and attack Seth, and it'll be Seth and The Fiend at Hell in a Cell, and Braun will just be disappeared.
I like the triple threat, though. I think the triple threat is actually the best idea.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think it'll be Seth and Bray one-on-one in a match that I really don't care to see.
Well, I think a lot of people are interested in The Fiend, whatever he does. So why not put him in the main event? Because it makes the main event more interesting if he's there.
Nah. No. Because once that bell rings, it's a different story.
Right.
You're interested in The Fiend when he's walking to the ring, but once that bell rings, I saw the match with Finn Balor at SummerSlam. You think it was good?
You love the entrance, did you not?
The entrance was good. What about the rest of the match?
That's the usual Bray Wyatt match.
Yeah. Not too good.
It's all about the entrance. It's all that matters.
No, it isn't, John. We're watching pro wrestling. We're watching the matches, too. I think the matches matter a little bit more than the entrance.
Some guys are just show. That's it.
Do you like that? Is that what you want to see?
If this is the best...
I don't think that works. Like, when you have a product like AEW that's going to be challenging the WWE, and they're not going to be just an entrance, they're going to be a real, complete wrestling product. You're the WWE. You've got to respond in kind. You've got to deliver some substance. You can't just be flashy entrances. You can't just have a flashy entrance as your world champion. It doesn't work.
No, you're going to have the good wrestling. You'll see AJ Styles, Cedric Alexander. That's going to be probably the best wrestling match on the whole show. But yeah, you're going to need some flash afterwards, and that's what we have Bray Wyatt for. And Seth Rollins can do some cool flips. It evens out.
You don't even believe what you're saying to me right now.
I believe it.
No,
completely.
you don't.
I believe it's completely what's going to happen, and you even believe it yourself. You just don't want to believe it.
I believe it is what is going to happen, but I know that I do not like it. You are lying to yourself and the Wrestling Uncensored universe, telling us that this is good. This is what I like. I'm Johnny North, and I like this stuff. No, you don't, Johnny North. You're a big liar. You're trolling us once again. Johnny North, the ultimate troll, the heel of Wrestling Uncensored and the Wrestling Uncensored universe.
That's what the heel's saying, of course.
You're the Baron Corbin of Wrestling Uncensored.
Man, Baron Corbin, isn't he fantastic?
See? See what I'm saying?
No, but he's really the best thing going right now. He should win King of the Ring. It's a shame King of the Ring is not going to be on the pay-per-view now. It's terrible.
It's not?
No, they took it off now. Apparently, the finals are going to happen on Raw.
What?
Yeah.
What happened?
You didn't catch it at the end of SmackDown? They're like, yeah, tune into Raw. You get to see the finals. Chad Gable against Baron Corbin.
What happened?
They pulled it from the pay-per-view.
Why?
Maybe because...
Too much. Too many matches.
Well, there's already 14 or something?
Okay, but they've been, for weeks, building this thing to end at Clash of Champions. We'll crown the King of the Ring at Clash of Champions. And now it's like, no, it's going to be on Raw. Well, what was the point of having a Raw bracket and a SmackDown bracket if the show just ends on Raw? What kind of tournament is that? What kind of sense does that make? If I'm Chad Gable, I'm like, whoa. I represent SmackDown. I won all my matches on SmackDown. Why should I have to have my finals on Raw? It doesn't seem fair. They should have it on NXT, neutral ground.
The way I look at it, SummerSlam ended about 10:30. So if they try for Clash of Champions then at 10:30, maybe you have to cut some matches. And if you have to cut matches to do so, do it. I'm more than happy with it because you have 3 hours the next night. It's cool. It's no problem.
It's just bizarre that it's going down that way. So Chad Gable won his King of the Ring match. Yeah, kind of, right? With Shane McMahon.
Won twice.
He won twice. Over on Raw, Baron Corbin won his match, the triple threat, over Ricochet and Joe. Ricochet did one of his 630 splash maneuvers and hit it on Samoa Joe, and then Corbin pulled Ricochet out of the ring, and he took the pin on Joe to get the win.
So who do you have now?
Well, I had Corbin going to the finals from the start, so I'm pretty happy about that. At least I got one guy right. I had Ricochet.
No, you had Ricochet.
Oh, no, I had
all the way.
Ricochet. Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't even have Corbin.
To get to this part. That's it, lose.
Yeah, I thought he would have lost to Ricochet, but Ricochet did not win. Ricochet was my King of the Ring. So, I don't know, man. Where do we go from here? I'm going to go with King Gable.
And given that it's going to be on Raw and not the pay-per-view now.
Uh-oh. Probably King Corbin, I guess. But I'm going to go with King Gable. I'm hopeful that they do something with Chad Gable. He's a fantastic wrestler. He deserves a lot more. We deserve to see more from Chad Gable. There's a lot there. There's a lot of potential. So I would like to see Chad Gable get the King of the Ring, but I'm skeptical. I don't know if it's going to happen. Baron Corbin is he's a good heel. He's not my favorite wrestler to watch. He's not the most exciting guy. His promos are, average. His wrestling is average. He's very average, He's not terrible. He's not particularly good. He's just Baron. Just plain old Baron.
He's good at upsetting people. Very good, actually.
I'm not that upset by him. I'm just kind of bored, Boring Baron. Like, I see him and I'm like, boring Corbin once again. He's just not, I don't know. There's something about him that just screams generic to me. There's nothing special about Baron Corbin other than how tall he is, Nothing with his look, really, that kind of jumps out at me. Nothing with his wrestling. He does a couple moves very nicely, like the deep six is really nice, the way he performs it.
Yep.
And he's like, solid. He's a good hand. You know what I mean? He's all right. But he's not spectacular. I've never seen him have a classic match. I've never seen him have a spectacular performance. It's very much like, oh yeah, Baron Corbin had a match and, it happened.
Well, again, I go back to the mixed tag that we saw at Extreme Rules. I thought that was a fantastic match.
Maybe his best match, but not the match of the year. You know what I mean?
Well, his best match, and that was the main event of pay-per-view, so I think he's trending in the right direction.
All right, number one Baron Corbin fan over here, Big Johnny North. So Baron won't be on this pay-per-view, much to your dismay. He will take on Chad Gable Monday night on Raw in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament. We are going to continue our Clash of the Champions preview when we come back, and we'll also tell you how Chad Gable got to the finals of the King of the Ring and what it means for Kevin Owens after he was fired from Smackdown this week. It is Wrestling Uncensored. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. RingsideReport.net is the website. RingsideReport.net. That is the online home of Wrestling Uncensored, Ringside Report, and the Ringside Report Network. What's Phantom in Japan? All sorts of things going on our official website over at RingsideReport.net. If you are listening to this show on the radio, if you are listening to this show on iTunes, you can watch us as well on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/ringsidereport.net, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get the notifications, like the video, leave a comment. And if you missed all that, well, you can just go to our website, ringsidereport.net. All the shows available in both audio and video form on our website. The YouTube links are there at ringsidereport.net. You can watch Wrestling Uncensored, which you haven't always been able to do, but for the past, I'd say, dozen or so episodes, you've been able to watch us. So there's that. And if you are watching us, thanks.
It's definitely been a summer thing so far that's carried over.
Okay. Did it start in the summertime?
Roughly. I want to say
so.
maybe June-ish, perhaps.
Yeah. It's not as hot in the studio now, is it? Not summertime anymore, Big Johnny.
I'm still sweating.
You're always sweating for some reason. I don't really want to know, all right? I don't want to know. Follow him on Twitter at NorthGenesis if you want to see pictures of his sweat. So, other matches on this card that we have to get to, John. Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton. WWE Championship is on the line. Kofi Kingston and Randy had a battle this week on SmackDown. They fought each other. They brawled. Kofi cut a promo, talked about his history at Madison Square Garden, Raw and SmackDown in New York City at MSG this week. Kofi talking about 2009 when he put Randy through a table at MSG. Randy interrupted, called Kofi stupid. Randy says, Kofi, you're only talking about the two things you've done in the past 10 years. You know what I've done in the past 10 years? I've become champion 7 times. I've won 2 Royal Rumbles. I won a Money in the Bank. What have you done? You put me through a table once, and you became champion once. Randy says, Kofi, you're pretending to be something you're not, just like you always have been, whether it was your fake Jamaican accent and your dreadlocks or your power of positivity. Bull S. Randy actually swore. He said the word. He said BS, but he said bull stuff on SmackDown Live. Shocking stuff. It was bleeped, but Randy swore in his promo. Edgier WWE, right?
Randy can do that. Randy's used the middle finger before.
Yeah. And then Kofi goes into the crowd after Randy Orton, but of course Randy has a chair and hits Kofi with it. Kofi does fight back, though, and Randy puts him on a table. Kofi starts kicking him. Kofi falls through the table. The table breaks.
Botch. Yeah.
Total botch under Kofi's weight. Thankfully, they had a second table, right?
That would work.
Yeah? So Kofi sets it up, puts Randy on it, and does a butt drop kind of off the crowd, off the stands there, the bleachers, down onto Randy, through the table, kind of replicating what he did to him 10 years ago, leaving Randy laying going into their big title match here at Clash of Champions. I think Randy might win. But Kofi might win it back in 3 weeks' time in a rematch at Hell in a Cell.
Exactly, and they've set it up very well that you would think that would happen. However, they might end it where it's like another count out kind of or double disqualification kind of thing. I could see something like that go down.
Again?
It's terrible, but I don't think it's going to be the main event, right? So they could pull it off.
Like a disqualification maybe this time, and then you have a no DQ, no count out, Hell in a Cell match, whatever.
If they don't want Randy to be champion, that's the only way out, in my opinion, of this. Because Randy should become the champion if there's no stupid DQ finish.
Randy should become champion here, but lose it at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, sure. He doesn't have to. But
he doesn't need a long run here. I think Kofi becoming a 2-time champion is more useful than Randy winning the title either here or at the next pay-per-view and then holding it for several months until what, I think it does a great disservice to all the build you've done for Kofi Kingston if you just take the title off of him and give it to Randy and then forget about Kofi for a while.
Oh, I don't think you're going to be forgetting about Kofi for a very long time. I think he's going to be in the title picture pretty much up to the next WrestleMania.
That's why he should lose it to Randy and then take it back 3 weeks later at Hell in a Cell. That's what I would do. I think that's what they're going to do. I think Randy wins and then Kofi wins and gets a second title run in 3 weeks. I think the Revival probably help Randy here.
Right.
And the New Day won't help Kofi, and then at Hell in a Cell, it'll be Kofi, Randy, one-on-one in the cage, no Revival to help him, and then Kofi wins.
Well, I think New Day would try to help, but it doesn't mean it'll work.
Okay. The Revival will be taking on the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team titles.
They made that official. Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's actually on the card. It's weird. Where have Big E and Xavier Woods been?
Well, they got taken out by Randy, remember?
Yeah.
So
they weren't on SmackDown or Raw or anything this week. They're selling.
Right.
But they're the champions.
And I guess
are they going to continue to sell their injuries going into this match here? Will they lose?
You would think, but it's still too much if New Day loses everything here, I think, in my opinion. So I think they'll at least get through the Revival.
I don't know. Why not have them lose everything only to gain it all back at Hell in a Cell?
Remember, Revival's on Raw, so...
Oh, yeah. It would be weird if they became SmackDown Tag Team Champions. But there is a draft coming up, isn't there?
There is.
They're going to shake up the roster, so maybe Revival, they win the titles, they become SmackDown champions, and then they go to SmackDown.
They could. Yeah, they easily could.
It would make sense because they are kind of Randy's guys. And if Randy's staying on SmackDown, it would make sense for the Revival to follow him.
Well, I just knew they haven't done much with the tag team titles, so I think it's a little too early for them to lose right now, but stranger things have happened.
I don't know. New Day doesn't have to have a long run with the tag team titles. They've had the longest run ever as tag team champions. At this point, win them, give them back, win them, give them back. The New Day is a legendary tag team. They're like the Dudleys. They could win it 100 times. Doesn't matter.
Well, this is the problem, too, with this kind of pay-per-view. You don't want too many title changes because then that takes away from the whole title change, how this is like a big deal kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because if it just keeps happening throughout the whole night, then it's not that big of a deal. So I can't see there being too many title changes. We already have 2 suggested right now with the Raw Women's and the WWE Championship. I don't know if there's going to be much more than that.
Okay, so you're saying 2 title changes. Raw Women's title going to Sasha Banks, WWE title going to Randy Orton. Let's see if we see any other title changes here. You think that the New Day retains? I think they're going to lose. I think they will lose the titles. All right, I'm going to go with the Revival to win the SmackDown titles. How about Shinsuke Nakamura defending the Intercontinental Championship against The Miz?
I hope Nakamura wins.
Yeah, I think Nakamura probably wins. The Miz had a match on SmackDown this week, beating Andrade, which...
It happens.
I guess. And then Nakamura attacked Miz after the match. Yeah. Will Sami Zayn be in Nakamura's corner?
Well, I don't know. Taker took him out, right? So
Yeah. That was a weird thing that happened on SmackDown this week. The Undertaker comes out, cuts a promo, talks about Madison Square Garden being his home. It was kind of Mark Calloway talking there, right?
yeah.
Saying, doesn't know how many more times he'll be able to come home to this arena.
Yeah.
It was some real emotion, I think, from the real guy behind The Undertaker. Sami Zayn showed up. Sami says, Taker, you're great, but you shouldn't be opening SmackDown. It really should be me, Sami Zayn. And then Sami says that the future is here, and the future is Sami Zayn. And Sami says that, don't worry, Undertaker, the future of WWE is in good hands. You can take my word for it. And Taker's like, all right, Sami. Gives Sami Zayn the mic and starts to walk out. And Sami Zayn's like, what? I can't believe Undertaker just did that. I just told Undertaker to leave, to hand me the keys to the WWE, and he did. And he's like celebrating in the ring, and then Taker's on the apron, and he's like, I don't think so. And then he gets back in the ring, and then he goozles Sami Zayn and gives him a big old choke slam and stands tall.
He did that without the hat falling off at all, too.
Yeah, the hat didn't even fall off.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Why didn't Nakamura come and help Sami?
Because it's The Undertaker. You don't want to mess with The Undertaker.
Why not? It's 2-on-1. Like, I think that segment would have been way better if Undertaker comes out, he goes to goozle Sami Zayn, and from behind, Kinshasa! And then, Nakamura just beats down The Undertaker, and then he looks super strong, and then Sami Zayn and Shinsuke are standing over Taker, and you're like, oh my goodness, these guys need to get their comeuppance. I hope Miz gets them, but then he doesn't, and then you're like, man, somebody needs to stop Sami and Nakamura. And then somebody does, and you're happy about it. But in this scenario, it's just like, oh, Sami really sucks, eh? Undertaker just takes him out. Undertaker's like 100 years old. Sami's like Nakamura's manager. Oh, Sami, such a jabroni. He'll probably lose to No Way Jose next week.
He's not even really wrestling right now, Sami Zayn.
He's not even a wrestler anymore.
So it makes sense. Taker, at least when he comes out, people fear and respect him. So why should he lose in that kind of situation? Why should he be put down? If someone puts him down, that's going to be a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Why should the reigning Intercontinental Champion be able to put down a super old man who's basically just a legend at this point?
Well, an Intercontinental Champion they haven't done anything with, so no, I don't think he should.
Royal Rumble winner, Intercontinental Champion, one of the best in the game, Shinsuke Nakamura.
And yet, when it came to WWE Championship, failed 10 times now?
Yeah, well, that's not his fault, is it? Right?
I'm just saying, it doesn't seem like they want to make him a top guy. They make him a guy, but he's not going to be Taker.
He could definitely lose to The Miz at Clash of Champions.
Hopefully not. Hopefully this is actually them giving him something for once.
We'll see. I'm not convinced. I think he'll win, but you never know. All right. Other weird stuff that happened on SmackDown this week. The Shane McMahon thing.
How was that weird? I thought that was a great use of a bad situation they were put in. Elias got hurt. It's too bad. There's a spot, and Shane has to do something.
Okay.
Puts himself in. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get to it, John, and we'll see how fantastic it is by the end of the story. So Shane McMahon replaces Elias. Elias apparently has a legit ankle injury and couldn't wrestle Chad Gable. So Shane McMahon is the replacement. He wrestles Chad Gable for a shot at the King of the Ring finals, right?
Right.
So Chad Gable is there, and Shane McMahon tells Kevin Owens that, that fine that I levied upon you, well, I may waive that fine if you referee my match tonight and you kind of play ball and do what I say. And Kevin Owens like, all right, I guess. So Kevin Owens is the referee for Chad Gable, Shane McMahon. Chad Gable starts the match, does a roll-through German suplex on Shane that was nasty. 1, 2, 3, Kevin Owens counts really fast, and the match is over. So at this point, Kevin Owens is not playing ball with Shane McMahon.
Right.
Right? Which is what a good babyface would do. Saying, you know what, Shane, I know you're trying to find me money and whatever, but I got too much pride, and I'm not going to let you walk all over me. And screw you, Shane McMahon. I'm going to do a fast count, just like you fast counted me to eliminate me from the King of the Ring. Right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
Then Shane McMahon says, you know what? It's a 2 out of 3 falls match. And Kevin Owens, you better play ball. You better not mess with me. So then Kevin Owens is like, okay, Shane. And then he just gives in. He just completely buckles under the pressure. Like, he had backbone, but then as soon as Shane McMahon's like, yeah, it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, for some reason, Kevin Owens gives up all hope, and the $100,000 now means even more to him, and he's like, no, I'm going to call this match for Shane McMahon. So every time Shane has Gable pinned, Kevin Owens is doing a fast count. He's like, 1, 2, and Gable kicks out really fast. And then every time Gable has Shane McMahon pinned, Kevin Owens is like, 1, 2, pinning him, counting really slow for the pinfall on Shane, and totally being in the pocket of Shane McMahon, being Shane's referee. What changed between the first fall and the second in this match? What changed in the brain of Kevin Owens that made him say, oh, okay, I'm just gonna be a total doormat now for Shane McMahon. I'm just gonna buckle under the pressure because on second thought, I really need that $100,000.
Well, Shane was down 1 fall, right? So even if Shane tied it up, he still had to get another fall. So maybe Kevin's thinking was that if he played ball, help Shane win 1 fall, then they were square. And he could still call down the middle when it comes 1-1 again.
You're always here to explain the most ludicrous of stories, right? Like, when I'm coming up with the complete flaws in the logic, you counter with, well, it kind of makes sense if you think about it this way. And yeah, I guess, John, I guess.
I'm trying.
Kevin Owens.
I'm trying, okay?
Yeah, you're really grasping at straws here. But hey, you're saying, okay, Kevin Owens, he realized, I'll help Shane. I'll pretend to help Shane for 1 fall. But it didn't even work because then Chad Gable put Shane McMahon in an ankle lock and Shane just tapped out. So the match ended.
Right.
And then Shane is really mad, attacks Kevin Owens, jumps him, mounts him, starts punching on him, and leaves him laying. Kevin Owens doesn't even fight back and hit a stunner on Shane. He just gets beat up by Shane McMahon. Kevin Owens, who refereed a match while Shane McMahon got beat up by Chad Gable, German suplexed around the ring and put in an ankle lock. Shane McMahon, who just wrestled a match, has no problem just punching Kevin Owens to the point where he's down for the count and he cannot move. Kevin Owens looks weak, both mentally and physically, in this instance. And then, to add insult to injury, Shane says, Kevin Owens, you're fired. So Kevin Owens, completely jobbed out by Shane McMahon, made to look like a complete loser, is a complete, doormat for Shane and really has no backbone, and it's just like he'll do whatever the McMahons tell him to do. And then when he's a terrible lackey for the McMahons, they beat him up and fire him. Like, what kind of babyface is that? How are you supposed to get behind Kevin Owens now?
Well, given that they fired him, what is there to get behind? What happens now?
I don't know. Can you put a nice sunny coat on this one, John? Can you find the silver lining in this?
Kevin wasn't ready for a fight. The fact that Shane jumped him like that? No, he wasn't prepared. He was there to referee a match. He wasn't there to fight at all. So Kevin was in that mindset. Kevin was very conflicted going into the match, during the match. So for Shane to attack him like that, he just wasn't prepared.
Get out of here with all that, John. What are you talking about?
You know what it's like for an MMA fighter? Like, they have to train for months on end.
Okay, so he got sucker punched. He didn't know it was coming. Still didn't make Kevin Owens look very good, did it?
Well, it would have been better if Kevin, in the end, hit a stunner, but, you know, it doesn't always happen like that.
Looked like he was written off SmackDown. It looked like they killed off the Kevin Owens character from SmackDown, and he is gone. And he'll either be drafted somewhere else, or he'll go to NXT. Like, maybe he'll show up on Raw, but I don't know. He posted something on his Twitter. He posted the date of the first NXT live show.
Right.
People think he's going to go to NXT. People think the WWE is going to stack the roster with some main roster people. They're going to bring people down from the main roster, put them in NXT. Maybe that'll help.
It's not a bad idea. It's actually a very good idea.
Well, if you're going to do a 2-hour program, at the moment, their 1-hour show is filled with a lot of, filler, kind of not much, right? So if you're going to do a 2-hour show every week live, you're going to need some more talent.
On cable TV, yeah.
Sure. But I don't think this is necessarily good for the wrestlers that get sent down to NXT. This feels like getting sent to ECW back when the WWE revived ECW. Like, you wanted to be on Raw, you wanted to be on SmackDown. If you got sent down to ECW, they could tell you all you want that it was great for you and you're going to flourish, and you're going to help the young guys and all of that, but it was a demotion. Any way you look at it, it was the third brand.
Well, what hurts even more about this is, like, NXT, it's not really part of the pay-per-views, so you're pretty much cut off from everything else. You're just doing your own little storylines, so you live in your own little worlds, in a sense.
You have your TakeOver, but no WrestleMania for you.
That's rough.
No Royal Rumble. You might be in the Rumble match, but if you're in NXT, I mean, you're not winning, right?
Right.
You're not a main roster guy. You're not winning that thing. You're not at the pay-per-views. Clash of Champions, you're not there. WrestleMania, you're not there. SummerSlam, you're not there. You'll be at the TakeOver the day before, pal. Enjoy that.
How do you not see it as a demotion? You're doing much less. I mean, okay, sure, maybe you have good matches, and yeah, people like take over more, possibly, but
you're not touring anywhere near as much.
That might be better.
That might be a good thing for some people, right? I mean, NXT TV isn't a touring brand. And when they do shows, it's little tours here and there. They're not constantly touring. Their home base is in Florida. And if you are Kevin Owens, he's got 2 young kids. He lives in Florida. Maybe you want to be in NXT because it's not like they're doing much with you on the main roster, so you might as well make the same or similar money, stay in Florida, and then see your kids every day. It's not a bad move if you're Kevin Owens, I would probably do the exact same thing. But means no WrestleMania. So if you're a pro wrestler, I don't know if this is what you want. Maybe for Kevin Owens, yeah, he has a family. He wants to be with his family while still being in the WWE. NXT is a great way to do that. I get it. That makes a lot of sense to me. I couldn't imagine being away from my kids 4 days a week. Like, that sounds terrible. It sounds terrible. Being a WWE wrestler on the road as much as they are, being a parent myself, thinking about them and so many parents on the roster, it sounds awful. It sounds heartbreaking. I could not imagine being home for 3 days a week every week and only seeing my kids 3 days a week. Sounds terrible. So, hey, if NXT is an option for the family man wrestler or the family woman wrestler, good. Do that, But the fans are going to see it as a demotion. And I think some wrestlers that aren't, family people, if they get sent down to NXT, they're going to be like, whoa, 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 what are you doing here? Right?
I think it's just a shame. Like, you saw so much potential in Kevin, what he could have become, what he should become, and the fact that it just never really happened. You saw a bit of that when he was Universal Champion, but it felt like that's such a long time ago now. And it's sad. Like, it was only a couple of years ago, but now it just feels like it was in a lifetime. Even
with this renewed thing, the Shane McMahon stuff, the promo he cut on Shane like a month ago, the stunner, all that stuff that he's been doing past, 6 weeks before SummerSlam, leading into SummerSlam, It felt like they were actually going to do something with Kevin Owens and maybe make him one of the top baby faces in the company. But when you have Roman Reigns on SmackDown and Seth Rollins on Raw, if you're going to keep them on separate brands, whether you draft them to the opposite brand or whatever, as long as Roman and Seth are around, if you're on the WWE roster, you know there's only so much room to grow. There is a glass ceiling, and that glass ceiling is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. You're not going to get past Roman. You know, Roman, as a top babyface on SmackDown, Kevin Owens is never going to take that spot. No matter how good he is, no matter how hard he tries, he will never, ever take the spot of Roman Reigns. That's just the way the WWE is designed right now, and that's the way it's going to be. We've seen them have opportunities to veer in different directions, but they're not doing that. They're staying on the Roman and Seth path, and there's no way around that. Look at Dean Ambrose. He saw that. He's like, well, I'm in a 3-man group, and even I, Dean Ambrose, member of the Shield, former champion, like they did a lot with him, but he realized, like, you know, Seth is here, Roman's here, and I'm back here, and I'm never going to get up there, so I got to go. So maybe leaving for Kevin Owens means going to NXT or whatever, but it isn't an illogical move if you are a WWE contracted talent to be like, look, I want to be a top guy, but I'll never be a top guy here, so I'm going to go somewhere else. And if you're under contract, there's only one somewhere else to go, and that's NXT, I guess.
It just seems like that futile glass ceiling actually exists still in wrestling. And it's sad.
It used to be, you know, women had that glass ceiling, but now they can main event WrestleMania. It's just like for the men, the male wrestlers, I feel like there's more upwards mobility and there's more room to move up to the main event of the card on the women's roster right now than there is on the men's side.
100%.
Like, you could be a women's wrestler and get to the Becky Lynch level and, you know, main event there, and then maybe catch fire and become a main event of WrestleMania or whatever. Like, it's easier to do as a woman now in the WWE than it is for a man, which sounds totally horrible. But with Seth, like, it sounds very like, you know, men aren't getting enough rights and all that. I'm not saying that at all. But if you just look at, you know, Sasha Banks and Bayley, like, look where they've gone, and now they're up in the main thing, and I think they should be main eventing the pay-per-view Clash of Champions, you know? Seth and Roman kind of hold those spots, and very few kind of get to reach that level of the Seth and Roman. You have little glimpses here and there, but like Braun Strowman, he's up at that level just for a match, but he's not going to be a new guy that's being made in the main event, you know? They're not making that many new bona fide main eventers. It's Seth, it's Roman, and then it's everybody else.
It's sad that way, but yeah, it's exactly the way it is. It's just they've replaced their John Cena, Batista, and these are the new ones.
Yeah. Yeah. They're the new top guys. They have the opportunity to make Eric Rowan, he cut a promo this week, says people need to look into his eyes. They need to know he's a mastermind, a manipulator, a schemer, and no one tells him what to do. Not a great promo from Rowan this week. What did you think?
Well, he's trying to sell a story that I don't believe in whatsoever, but, you know, it's a good effort. I mean, he doesn't usually cut promos at all, so I appreciate the effort in trying.
It wasn't terrible. Roman Reigns shows up. He attacks Eric Rowan. They brawled around ringside for a while. Security, referees, Sanjay Dutt, and so on arrived to separate them. See Sanjay there?
I didn't, but I'm not surprised.
I was like, oh, Sanjay Dutt. Rowan hit Roman with a camera crane gimmick thing, a jib camera, whatever it is.
That was cool.
That was all right.
It's one of the better brawls I've seen in a while, actually.
Yeah, you liked it?
Well, usually these brawls are kind of just lame. They fight around ringside, and then there's security, and that's it. But this actually, like, didn't he throw somebody onto, like, Roman all security as well?
Oh, he powerbombed, like, a plant fan.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, but, like, as soon as Rowan picks up a fan and powerbombs him, you're like, well, yeah. It takes you out of the realism, though. You know, like, I get it. They're trying to make it seem like, oh, you never know what might happen. But if you're watching it, you're like, well, obviously that's not a real fan.
No, but I appreciate the effort in trying something. Instead of just fighting around and that's it.
I don't like when they do stuff that's so obviously fake. You know, like, it's just, if we know that it's not real, don't even do it.
I don't know about that. It's like the ring falling apart. Like, they planned it, but it's still fun to see.
The first time people didn't know they planned it.
Right.
Just every other time, they shouldn't have done it. Because it's obvious now. Anyways, Rowan, after that little brawl with Roman, he's backstage mumbling, Roman, Roman, Roman! Just like a weirdo unmasked Kane.
Well,
Is Eric Rowan the new Kane? He's teamed with Daniel Bryan. He's kind of big, red, and evil. I think he's just the new Kane. And Roman Reigns will beat him at Clash of Champions. I think you're right. I think Daniel Bryan is done with Eric Rowan. I think they might turn Daniel Bryan babyface. He wasn't on SmackDown. Won't be at Clash of Champions. Maybe he'll go to NXT too. Who knows, right? But Daniel Bryan, not around. Rowan is here. I think he's just the new Kane. I think Braun Strowman is the new Big Show, and Rowan is the new Kane, and Roman Reigns is the new John Cena, and Seth Rollins is the new Batista, so that tells you how those matches are going to go at Clash of Champions.
That's a lot of fun.
Right?
That's a lot
like
of
if it's
fun.
John Cena versus Kane, right? If Roman Reigns is the new Cena,
right,
and Eric Rowan is the new Kane, what do you think's going to happen? What happened when John Cena wrestled Kane? How many times did Kane win out of 100?
Maybe once.
Maybe one out of every 100.
Maybe he got one. I think he got one at least.
And I think Rowan probably gets one out of every 100. I don't think this is going to be the one, though. I think Roman Reigns gets revenge and beats up Eric Rowan on this pay-per-view. 1, 2, 3, spear, middle of the ring. Hoo-ah! The big dog reigns supreme.
Well, even if Rowan won this match, this still wouldn't make him. It would take much more than just beating Roman Reigns. Because a win over Roman, that's a big thing, but you have to capitalize on that.
And I'd find it pretty hard to see Roman Reigns, the guy who did the big Connor's Cure Kids with Cancer thing on Raw this week, to come out and lose on pay-per-view on a Sunday.
It's funny that some people complain, like, oh, why are they showing this on Raw? Like, give us more action, whatever. It's like, look, this is what WWE has been doing for years. Like, I get it.
Yeah, I don't love it because it does kind of take you out of the wrestling show. Like, it's not an entertaining part of the show.
Right.
But it is cool that these kids get to be on Raw. Like, it's cool for them. It's cool. It's more cool for them than the audience. But, if you're a member of the audience, you could just kind of watch and wait and, cheer for the kids and let them have their moments. These kids are having a very tough time. They've got cancer.
This is also a tradition, too. They've been doing this for years now, so.
Can you imagine being a kid with cancer? It's terrible.
That's horrible, yeah.
So let them have their moment. Let them come out there with Roman Reigns and be on Monday Night Raw. Don't complain about that stuff.
Don't boo them.
No one booed them.
No, but people on Twitter definitely booed them, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, people on Twitter are immature, A lot of those were probably kids that couldn't imagine whatever, Who knows? Who knows who's saying that kind of stuff, but I feel for those kids, man. I see that stuff on Raw. It's like, oh, man. Kind of makes me sad. Kind of bums me out, to be honest. Like, I see that, and I'm like, I don't really want to watch wrestling anymore. Who cares about wrestling? I just want to go hug my kid. It's just like sad.
You can do both.
Yeah. Well, Raw's past his bedtime, so. How about Rey Mysterio and Grand Metalik? That lifted my spirits on Monday Night Raw. What an incredible match. Rey Mysterio hits the 619, drops the dime to get the 1-2-3 pinfall on Grand Metalik. Tremendous match. This was a coming out party for Grand Metalik. I think if you've been paying attention, you know how good this guy is. But, it's always good to have a reminder and to see him wrestle the greatest luchador of all time, Rey Mysterio, on Monday Night Raw. It's a pretty good reminder, and I'm sure it was quite a moment, quite a special night for Grand Metalik to wrestle the great Rey Mysterio.
Well, this was Metalik's most high-profile match in WWE up to this point, which is kind of sad given how good he is. But if you don't watch,
he's very good.
But if you don't watch 205 Live or any of the Cruiserweight stuff, you don't know that. So, but on Raw, it just felt, someone tweeted this to me, like it felt like a good old-fashioned WCW Cruiserweight match from Nitro. And yeah, definitely, without question.
It felt like Psychoses versus Rey Mysterio,
And it's good to see Ray do that, too. This helped Ray just as much as helped Metalik, because Ray needed a good match. It's been a while since I've seen Ray in a good competitive back-and-forth match like this.
I like a lucha mask where the guy's hair is sticking out from under the mask. You don't see that enough in lucha these days, where there's hair coming out from under the mask. I like that with Grand Metalik. You can see his real hair. There's something greasy about it that I just like.
Most of them don't have hair anymore now, too. Most of them are bald.
Yeah, they cut their hair. They shave their head or whatever. Yeah, but Grand Metalik, you see his hair kind of trickling out from the mask. I like that. It's like creepy. I don't know what it is. It's good. He's got a good look. He's a good wrestler. Natty beat Lacey Evans with a sharpshooter, making her tap in the middle of the ring this week. That was weird.
Well, it was a revenge match, right? Because Lacey beat Natty last week, so...
Yeah.
It's just they give them something to do because they have nothing else.
Okay. They're not going to be on pay-per-view. Drew Gulak, Humberto Carrillo, and Lince Dorado will be wrestling a triple threat for the Cruiserweight Championship. I think Gulak retains. I don't really know. I don't watch 205 Live that often.
It's probably going to be on the pre-show, too, this match.
Probably.
But I think it'll be fun to watch.
All right. Who do you have winning? Gulak?
Yeah, go with Gulak.
Go with Gulak. Gaba Gulak. All right. How about Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defending the WWE Women's Tag Team titles against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville? Fire and Desire.
You know, it wouldn't be out of this world. There's a title change. I'm just feeling it's probably not going to happen.
Nikki Cross beat Mandy Rose on SmackDown this week. Does that mean anything?
Well, Rose and Deville defeated Bliss and Cross to get this match already, so...
Yeah, it would make sense for them to lose here, right?
For Deville and Mandy, yeah.
Yeah, because they already got the win on Alexa and Alexa and Nikki in a non-title match. It would make sense for Fire and Ice, Mandy and Sonya to lose the match, and I think they will. I think Alexa and Nikki Cross retain the women's tag team titles that still mean very little.
Agreed, but yeah.
AJ Styles and Cedric Alexander for the United States Championship. This could be match of the night. They had a pretty good little match on Raw before it was interrupted and ended in a disqualification when the OC interfered, which led to a 10-man tag that was the main event of Raw that was really not great.
A mess.
Yeah, it was a mess, and just like, who wants to see a 10-man tag to end Monday Night Raw? Cedric Alexander, Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, and the Viking Raiders all team up to take on the OC, AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, and Bobby Roode. Cedric got the pinfall on AJ Styles to win the match for his team. Then Stone Cold Steve Austin came out and had a beer bash with everybody. Cedric beat AJ on Raw. I don't think he's beating him on pay-per-view. AJ Styles Clash, 1, 2, 3, retains the U.S. champion. They don't want none.
Well, the question isn't who's going to win, because AJ Styles for sure, right? But the question is, how good is this match going to be? I think this could be like a match of the year candidate, possibly. They're that good of wrestlers.
I think this will be match of the night. I'm looking at the card, and I can't imagine anything else that will be better. Maybe Becky and Sasha, maybe Bayley and Charlotte. Those are the other two matches that I'm really excited for. Other than that, I think AJ and Cedric have a real shot to steal the show.
It's something. It's the match I look forward to the most out of everything on Sunday.
How about Stone Cold Steve Austin on Monday Night Raw? He gave a stunner to AJ Styles. That was kind of cool.
I like the post stunner that he did. He did a little speech about how he respected AJ. And, you know, he liked AJ to come in the ring, shake his hand, tell him that he thinks he's really good. And then he gave him a stunner.
Yeah, that's good stuff from Stone Cold. Austin, always great to see him. This appearance, you know, it wasn't much of anything. You know, it was Stone Cold coming out, talking about his memories from Madison Square Garden. Braun Strowman shows up. Seth Rollins shows up. I liked when Braun went to take the mic from Austin, and Austin's like, I'm not giving you the mic. And he just stared him down like, what are you going to do about it, son? Yeah. And Braun does nothing. And then Seth comes out, and he's just like, oh, Stone Cold, you're so awesome. I love you so much. And it's just like, oh, Seth and Braun are both on a lower level than Stone Cold. It's very obvious, and they seem like just in awe of him. You know, Braun is this monster, and even he is afraid of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Meanwhile, AJ Styles, who really is a legend of professional wrestling, really is on the same level of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He comes out, and he cuts a promo on Stone Cold, saying no one wants to see Stone Cold. He does an impression of Steve Austin, just runs him down, cuts a good promo, and then eventually gets a stunner from the great Stone Cold Steve Austin to close out the segment. I thought the only guy that looked like he could hang with Steve Austin was AJ Styles, and that segment made Braun and Seth look less than Steve Austin.
But that's about right.
Well, of course, that's about right, but like, when you're the two guys in the main event, when you're the two guys that Johnny North wants to see close the show at Clash of Champions, you should be bigger stars. You should be able to talk to Stone Cold Steve Austin like you're his peer, like you're on the same level, but you're talking about him like you're some mark. You know what I mean? Like Braun's like, oh, I don't want to mess with you, Stone Cold. Don't mess with me, and I won't mess with you. And AJ's like, yeah, screw you, Steve Austin. I don't care about you. Get out of here, old man. Like, AJ Styles is the only guy who is a peer of Stone Cold Steve Austin because he is respected among the wrestling world as Austin is respected. AJ Styles is one of those guys that everybody respects as a great professional wrestler, as a legend of the business, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin. It isn't unanimous among the wrestling world that everyone respects Braun Strowman or Seth Rollins. There's just not on the same level. Seth might get there one day. Braun might get there one day, but they're not there. And it was very apparent in that segment that, oh yeah, AJ's there. He's at Austin level, cool Austin level respect. He is on the same wavelength. Seth and Braun, they kind of look like fans in the ring waiting to get an autograph and a Steve Weiser from the great Stone Cold.
And they didn't get a stunner in return.
No, they didn't get a stunner because Stone Cold's nice to his fans.
Right.
There you go, little buddy. You don't get a stunner. Johnny North, you take a stunner from Stone Cold Steve Austin. You're not afraid to step up to the Texas Rattlesnake. When can people see you in the ring, son?
Stumping a mud hole into Steve Austin.
Stumping a what now?
Mud hole.
There you go.
Yeah.
And walking it dry.
I guess.
All right. When?
September 21st, I'll be wrestling the Blood Hunter in Hawkesbury at the Summit High School. It'll be at 7:30 p.m. bell time.
Nice. That sounds very exciting. Watch Johnny take on the Blood Hunter. For more info on that, you can check us out on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Johnny North at North Genesis on Twitter, at Genesis Johnny North on Instagram. You can follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. Go to our website right now, ringsidereport.net. Check it out. We've got Dave and Johnny live right there. Johnny North and I talked about all sorts of pro wrestling, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor Wrestling, AEW, a little bit of WWE as well, and even some stories from Johnny North's latest matches and some of his matches that are coming up. Watch Dave and Johnny live every Friday afternoon at about 12:30. We talk to you on YouTube live. You could watch this show as well if you're listening to this on the radio or on a podcast. You can watch the show on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Go to the channel, like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, and go to ringsidereport.net for more info on all of that. I want to thank everybody for helping us out back on the radio side, and a big thanks to you for listening and watching. For Johnny North, I am Dave Simon, and this has been Wrestling Uncensored. Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.